Hi, I'm Scott Vaughn, Chief Marketing Officer of UBM TechWeb and one of the marketers on CreateYourNextCustomer.com. And today, have the pleasure of talking with Deb Wolf, who's the Vice President of Corporate Marketing at Workday. Workday is a very fast-growing company in the application space, and we're going to dig in and define that a bit. So, Deb, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So talk a little bit, you and I have done some work together at different companies and different places along the way. Tell us a little bit about Workday and where you're focused in marketing.
Okay, so as you said, Workday is a very fast-growing company. We're about 6 years old now, and we've been marketing for about 5 years. The first 5 years were, I would say the first 2 or 3 years were mostly spent in building demand generation, in building the database, and really getting the product ready. Today, we're much more focused around our customer success. We're focused on, we've moved from evangelizing the cloud and educating people about the cloud into showing their success, the business results they're seeing from the cloud, and really, and taking that to a level where we can show a dramatic difference in what people are getting from an on-premise system versus a cloud system. In cost, in implementation, and agility, and all of those things. So those customer success stories are sort of top of mind for us, and we'll spend a good part of next year, being able to showcase.
They tell
some
two
of those.
friends and so on to really
Exactly.
get that conversation and some of the specifics going
Yep.
around it. So is that the difference when you're a fast-growing company? I guess year 6 of marketing, you move into a new phase.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we started with HR and payroll. Those were very acceptable areas for the cloud, and people readily accepted them as sort of non-strategic to the business. And so, as we move into our financial applications, we have a lot of work to do there around evangelizing and still educating folks about what the cloud can do from a financial standpoint and how that agility can be used for your business in a different application set. But we see ourselves much more as a platform replacement company today than an HR payroll company. So we have a lot of brand awareness building to do at that level, a lot of evangelizing to do still. So less about true demand generation, more about the platform, more about where people are going and the success they're seeing.
Yeah, it's real interesting when you make that connection that we see on-premise versus cloud. The numbers are just swaying towards the cloud, and then get to a certain point, you do have to do evangelizing. You do have to work with your customers to talk through how they're working through it.
Yeah.
So what are some of the techniques that you're using to do that? Or I don't know if techniques is the right word, approaches.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example here at the show.
Okay.
And
because
we've done this.
Information Week 500
we are,
conference.
one of our favorite conferences.
Thank you.
And we have a panel tomorrow of 4 CIOs who will be talking. The topic of the name of the panel is A Day in the Life of the Cloud. And
I like that.
Yeah, and they're going to be talking about implementation, deployment, post-implementation agility, what their business is seeing as an advantage from what they've put in with Workday. And so, versus myself or someone on our product strategy team getting up and talking about that, we like to put our customers at the forefront. I think that's the best way for their peers to hear from them what they've gotten from our applications and from moving to the cloud. And so that's a tactic we've used in the past. We've used it here at the show many times, and I think it's a successful way of marketing and the best way to showcase what you're doing.
Yeah, leading with what you know really is a good formula, especially when you have so many experts and great customers that rally around it. As you talked about the panel, I pictured this journey that everyone was going through, and if you can mirror that, then you have a lot of success.
Yeah.
So I'm going to switch gears a little bit. You used a term that I really liked last year, and you don't even know if you remember in a conversation. You talked about the word brand generation.
Yeah.
Can you amplify a little bit about what you mean by that?
Yeah, sure. So I think, when you and I started in this business when we were children.
Thank you.
The idea around brand was traditional marketing, traditional advertising, traditional PR, communications. Those things existed in one vacuum, and traditional demand generation existed in another whole separate universe. And really those things didn't come together. People would see your ad in a magazine, they would see a press release, and then maybe there was a time where they would be hit by some sort of demand program. And those things I think really have come together today. You can't write a blog without putting a bunch of links in. You you're reading something online, you immediately can go to a product demonstration, you can download a white paper. So our prospects are consuming information so differently today.
Yep.
And so I think it's this intersection of traditional brand and traditional demand generation. And I know at Workday, our marketing people don't do any programs without both sides working together.
Right.
A lot of people call it integrated marketing.
Right.
I think it's more about what happens at the impact of the conversation that somebody's having.
Yeah, I like the way that you're weaving the brand in every conversation, whether it's an introduction to a new prospect,
Yep.
Before you shove a white paper at them. That's something we preach all the time in terms of best practices. So right away they get something. One of the other unique things I wanted to ask you about, I noticed that you have a keen eye towards the tablet, specifically in
Yep.
your marketing and in your communications and the way your sales team works. Can you talk a little bit about how you're using the tablet and apps?
Yeah, well, the tablet's really big for Workday in general. We actually think that many people will go to the tablet before they'll go to their desktop. The executives that are consuming Workday today are consuming it on the iPad. So we built a
Your
native
content.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, the actual application on the iPad, and that's where we're seeing the greatest demand, really. And they're consuming things in a different way. While they can access the entire Workday application, really what they're looking for is analytical information, top of mind kind of reports that they need in meetings. And so this idea of taking your desktop with you is really,
Yeah.
I think, transforming applications today.
And that's with the consumerization of IT and all this movement towards arming, and it's glad to see they're leading the way and you're providing them with that tool
Yeah.
and that access.
Yeah.
So you've done a lot of marketing. You've worked with and trained and developed a lot of marketing talent.
I have, yes.
As Vice President of Corporate Marketing, what do you look for today in terms of skills from marketers?
That's a good question. I still think it's about creativity. I think it's about people who can think differently, people who aren't afraid to try something. In our business, certainly it's about people who move very quickly. They can be agile, they're flexible. We could be launching a new product in months' time, not in years'
Right.
time anymore.
Very much more closer to real time than we've ever been.
Absolutely. I mean, Workday, being a cloud product, comes out with 3 versions a year. So our marketing sometimes really strives to keep up with the product. And, in any traditional on-premise company, you think about product launches that were, 18 months to 3
Right.
years, right?
And the unveiling, almost like
Exactly.
the project, the Big Bang project almost.
Right. So I think most importantly, though, is creativity. That's what I look for in
Well,
folks.
I love it because it runs counter to this era of marketing that we're in. That's everything's about analytics and the science of it, and you need that.
You have to have that, Scott.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to. You absolutely do. And you have people that specialize there. And I think with the kinds of tools we have today, it makes it a lot easier than certainly than yesteryear.
So a lot more people have maybe the more analytical skill, but you're looking for, does someone have that creative spark?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Very helpful. Great to spend some time with you, Deb, and
You too, Scott.
little bit of conversation and sharing with our CreateYourNextCustomer.com subscribers.
Absolutely.
So thanks, Deb.
You're welcome.